Hello friends, welcome back to Salty Tarot. Thanks for being here. So I'm back. It's been a good long time, and so I do readings when I feel called to do readings, and I have had I have a very full and busy life, and so sometimes readings are sort of put on the back burner, but also if I felt called to do them, I would make space for them, and I did not feel called for a good long time as I was focusing on other things, and it was hard to find time to even sort of cognize the thought of whether I should be doing readings. Anyway, here we are. So in the meantime, I did upgrade my tech, but currently I'm on the road, so I'm still using the the not good microphone of my cell phone, but I do have a new mic, a fancy new mic. I tested it out last night. It works. It worked. I was so excited. I doubt my own ability to make tech sing, and there's something about, for example, there's something about PCs and my energy that just does not jive. They're like I cannot make those things work. But anyway, I'm a Mac girl. So in other funny stories, I was on my way on a road trip to go and do one of my other passions, which is VJing in the city. Left the small island where I live to go to the city for a VJ gig, and I'm just realizing I didn't put any nail polish on. So anyway, my time has been very scheduled and accounted for and busy for the last couple of months, really, but especially the last few weeks. So I've been trying to find time, and I didn't feel a call to do a reading until a couple of nights ago, and it just didn't work out that night. But in the meantime, in other weird, I just am trying to lay out the narrative here, so if I'm rambling too much you can skip the intro, but and jump to the piles. But so my tarot cards, like my growing tarot card collection and oracle card collection, ended up having to be put away for a period of time, so it's in deep storage for the time being. That gave me an excuse to get a couple of new decks. So today we're going to be using the 2 tarot decks that I have and the 3 oracle decks that I have. So we've got the Affirmators Tarot, which I'm going to use as clarifiers, and I've got the Tarot of Mystical Moments, and so that's what we're using today for tarot. And then I've just am making use of the 3 decks that I have. So I pulled these higher self cards can be advice cards, but I'm using them today as oracle cards for an energy check-in. I've got the Alchemy deck of the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck, and those cards are potent. I did sit down with them, shuffled them initially, and then sat down and pulled a few, and was just blown away by how closely they aligned with the questions I was asking. It was quite powerful and interesting, and I had sat down and read the Kranz's introduction in the book as well, and it was both humbling and just very sort of focusing right in and into the work. And so I've got a few oracle cards. I've pulled them as oracle cards today for an energy check-in, and then I just happened to have some pretties with me, and so I'm using those as, another way for you to choose your cards. So I've got, top row is you for pile 1, pile 2, pile 3. Bottom row is your person. So yeah, I was going to tell the whole story before we get to the pile selection. A further ramble. So I was on my way to the city for a VJ gig and discovered on the ferry that I spent so long packing and had everything meticulously organized, had everything in the van ready to go for the morning, with the exception of like the dog's bed and, some food for myself. Got dressed, got everything else in the van, drove off to the ferry, got on the ferry, realized I'd forgotten my computer back at home. And so I am now waiting in a ferry terminal for several hours to catch a ferry back to my small island and go and fetch that and then continue on my journey, which fortunately I'd planned to spend some time with friends in the city today, so it's hilarious and ridiculous. But anyway, so I ended up I had a pile of work I was going to do on the ferry, and while waiting for the ferry, like work, and that is in the same bag as my computer, so I could neither prep my VJ set nor do my work. But what do I have? I have tarot with me. I have the 5 decks that, the 3 oracle decks and the 2 tarot decks that I now own. It was an excuse to go out and buy some more tarot, and I'd been gifted a couple of decks as well. This one is gifted by my mama. And so I felt a call to hop in the back of my van and record a reading, and so I'm using my cell phone. I did bring a stand along with just kind of an inkling that I might be able to find a minute this weekend for a reading. Anyway, I best stop rambling and get into it, because there's going to be a ferry to catch in short order. I took so long to shuffle and set it all up that now I feel like I'm pressed for time. There's also some construction happening right outside my van, so there might be sounds or workmen laughing. So please disregard that. And now I'm hearing ferry announcements. Hopefully you can't hear that. Anyway, so for pile 1, the fabulous pile 1, we've got a couple of lightning earrings, which are kind of my thing. These are all my things, really. Okay, and then for pile 2, we have this lovely rose. I should have held up the pile 1. I'm not going to pick those up because they're going to end up weird if I put them back. And then for pile 3, we've got this snake bracelet. It's a bracelet. It kind of snaps open, and I do love this bracelet. And we're in the year of the snake now. If you're watching this at the time I record it, which is late January into late January 2025, all the way to January 2026, I presume. And it's sparkly. It's losing a few of its gems, but it's very sparkly. And so we're going to get into it. So please feel into which pile calls you, and be ready for the next reading, when the sound will be much improved and my plosives will not be so annoying. But here we are. I'm just going to get into it. I feel like I've been studying tarot in the interim, ongoing, and I feel like I feel like things have been sort of subtly improving in the background, like percolating, like my cauldron has been steadily steaming in the background, even as I haven't been recording readings. I did have a stated human goal of, okay, lots of background noise, pausing so I can edit things out later. So I was going to say I have a goal of my goal was to get to 1,000 subscribers by May. I've got 48 right now. I had 49, and then now I have 48. But part of that is because I started in May of 2024, and my community was so supportive. My friends were so supportive, and went through and clicked on the video, and I dare not ask them to do that again for any future videos. But it was amazing because YouTube picked it up, promoted it, and I got 1,200 views on that first video, which is kind of embarrassing. Kind of wasn't quite ready for that, but it was amazing, and I would like to be able to use that view count towards unlocking the next level of YouTube. Whatever I can't even remember now what the goal was, but it would be great to get to 1,000 subscribers by May. Not quite on track to that goal, but 48 is a great start, and I love it. And hopefully, if I don't get to it by then it'll just be a long, slow climb that hopefully will at some point become self-feeding. Anyway, let's get into it. So I'm hoping that I can be pithy. When have I ever been pithy? But I hope I can be pithy, and just get straight into the messages. So we're going to do an energy check-in, and look at your own energies, your current energies, and your person's energies. And I still haven't said what the reading is. The reading is, how are they feeling? How is your person currently feeling? So we're going to do an energy check-in with yourself and then your person for each of the piles, and then we're going to get into tarot. And with the tarot, I'm going to do my standard sort of 8-card layout, but then I'm going to clarify with the second deck, and just go for it and get messy. I have like kind of an abhorrence of messiness, but you know, it's a tarot reading, not a living room arrangement. And you should see my living room right now. You'd laugh at even the pretense of liking organization. I moved a few months ago now. You'd think I'd be moved in by now, but not quite. Anyway, let's get into it, and I'll see you in your piles. Hi, pile one. Welcome to your reading. So I've got my little lightning bolts here and here to sort of demarcate the screen. So I'm going to do this in a person 1, person 2 format. My intention is for this to be you and for this to be your person. Sometimes there's mirroring and things can flip. You will know if that's the case. And if it's not resonating at all, then perhaps choose a different pile or a different reading. These alchemy cards do not mess around. So we're going to start with the top one. We're going to start with you, and the top one will put your person over there. And so when I pulled this card, I did look at the cards beforehand. I wanted to throw it back in the deck, but I trust spirit, and I read the description and actually felt really called to keep it. So this is meant to be your present energies, and so the despicable face. So I will say just right off the top, while I'm pulling it up again, that there was an Edward Scissorhands reference. I am ashamed to say that I've never seen that movie. It's a Tim Burton omission. Actually, I probably saw it when I was, 13 or 14 or whenever it came out. I don't know if I did. I was very highbrow in the 90s. And it wasn't until later that I grew up with art, but I was kind of highbrow about art even. Anyway, the despicable face. So I'm going to read this. I probably won't read all of the write-ups, but this one in particular, just because I had such a reaction to it myself. Like I felt such a challenging reaction to it, and it turns out that is actually the energy of the card, and possibly your energy now if this is resonating for you, either in this connection or in life in general. The despicable face is never seen. Rather, it is kept in hiding to save outward appearances. This card appears when something below the surface wants to be witnessed in order to be transformed. So that line right there is why I decided to keep it, because if there's something burbling up alchemically from below that wants to be witnessed, this card is bringing it to the surface, and that's actually really important work. So rather than toss it back, I decided to embrace it, even though it was not what I wanted to be pulling in a tarot card reading for other people online. It's actually a really potent, powerful message that maybe is perfectly aligned with you and where you're at, even though I had this like, oh no, people aren't going to want to stay with this pile if they see the despicable face as the first card. So anyway, everyone has their own version of the despicable face and their own reasons for assuming it is an abomination. It could be buried resentment, an insecurity, or a physical characteristic that holds us back from expressing our true self. Remarkably, once revealed, it is not despicable at all. It is human. It is interesting. What once was thought of as an error becomes an asset in our journey of alchemical transformation. This card connects us to others and to humanity as a whole. Through acceptance, we lift the veil of perfection and reclaim our energy. Honesty and acceptance are the bonds that heal the most tender of wounds. And it says, watch the movie Edward Scissorhands. To ponder, acceptance as enlightenment. So embracing this card felt quite apropos in the end. So there might be something that you are in the process of reclaiming about yourself, or of embracing, that maybe initially you had insecurities about, or were disgusted by in yourself. Maybe there's something about you that you felt like could not be loved by other people or by yourself, especially in this case, and which you're now in the process of alchemizing into an asset, and realizing what the strength is that it's, or what the gift is in that thing. And quite frankly, I think that's one of the most powerful journeys that we can embark on as humans. And so, but then I was tempted to get a second card, just to like offset it. And I was like, nope, I'm just going to go with, the card that Spirit pulled. And then when I was shuffling your person's cards, 2 cards flew out, and they were cards that I would perceive as just very positive compared to this one that I was having a negative reaction to. And I was like, well, if person B gets 2 positive cards, then person A gets to have another card anyway. And so this is my, like, probably too much in my head with the tarot readings, but anyway. I'm going to embrace it. And so the card that came out for you next was Wise Salt. And Wise Salt is about, I'll just flip back to the description, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. So it's the sacred ingredient of preservation. The alchemist uses it to retain, preserve, and absorb. It brings complexity to flavors and grit to slippery roads. Whoa. Maybe that was a message for somebody. I almost said slippery robes. Someone who carries Wise Salt is immediately recognizable. Their words hold meaning. Their stories are deep and true. They have wisdom that cannot be attained by any other means than decades of pain and pleasure. It might be carried by the elders of the community. When this card appears, know that everything you're going through will be of use down the line. You are being brined alchemically. And it says, lean on your elders. And then, so we've got, these two really have quite an alignment, I feel. So if there's something that you're in the process of integrating about yourself that maybe previously you rejected, that will bring you to the perspective of Wise Salt. That will become the Wise Salt that you were carrying and that you can gift on to others in turn. So that seems really beautiful. If that's resonating, then you're probably in the right place. And then for these little guys, these are quite a different energy. I probably wouldn't pair them if I wasn't a little desperate for cards right now, like this deck and this deck, because this is just as powerful as it gets, coming straight from good witchy credentials. And then this, I feel, is a deck that somebody made to make some money and threw some words on, and half of them are misspelled. However, it's still an open portal to Spirit coming through to give you messages today. We've got Divine Counterpart, which is beautiful. A divine connection sent to you from your angels. We've got Communicate, Receive, and Express the truth, and be open to change. Be receptive to new experiences, and change leads to growth. So if it really looks like you're in a very strong, potent energy of transformation, and that transformation is going to be brining you, as the description said. So there's something happening in this connection, as well as I think generally for you right now. And so the keys, of course, are you might be in an energy of wanting to communicate, wanting to receive and express the truth, or of doing exactly that with your person right now, or with people in your life in general. You might be feeling that you are in a divine connection, or it might be dawning on you that this could be a connection. This might be something you're considering at this time, or it might just immediately resonate for you. And if you're not familiar with the term divine counterpart, that is a Google rabbit hole to enjoy at your own leisure, and you will learn a lot. And it will transform you from this to this, just even looking into that term and sort of going down that rabbit hole. And then be open to change, so growth, transformation, what's going on here. So those are your cards. We're just going to move those over here. I hope we're still in the frame. I'm sorry the cards are not lined up. That's too much for my brain right now with all the other things going on today. And then for your person, we've got the beautiful cards of, I'm just going to flip them both over. We've got the Peacock's Tail and Jupiter. Just double check that that's in the frame. Where are we? Not quite. Back of the van readings. I feel like a true tarot reader right now. That looks so off from my perspective, but it looks better from yours. Okay, let's talk about those. So the Peacock's Tail. So the energy that I immediately got from this before I looked them up in the guidebook, which I dutifully did before starting the reading, was that, are we still recording? Okay. was that your person might be a bit of a peacock. And I was thinking of that as, sort of a show-offy energy, because we've got Jupiter. Jupiter's about expansion, making things bigger. It's about luck, but it can be, people generally perceive Jupiter as good luck and sort of like expansiveness and like that sort of good-hearted energy, as compared to the contrast would be Saturn, which is contraction and hard lessons. But Jupiter's like expanding, like you're on a good track. So your person might be on a good track right now. They might have a very gregarious, expansive personality. They might be in Jupiter energy right now with like good things coming to them. But I was sort of seeing the peacock as like, peacocking and kind of showing off and possibly being a little arrogant or a little much. Not a little much, no. I don't really believe in people ever being too much. I think if you're strutting your stuff, that's amazing and beautiful, and we should all do that more. But maybe just a little bit having a sense of their own worth that might be predicated on underlying insecurity. Let's put it that way. However, then I read the description, and the description for the peacock's tail is actually quite different than that and much more celebratory, and I really like how she has spun it in here, so I'm just going to refer to that. So the peacock's tail is a sacred image in alchemy. The mesmerizing display of tail feathers opens to mark the alchemist having shifted from single to multi-perspective. This is a great achievement. The alchemist has opened 1,000 sets of eyes instead of one. So it's sort of moving from black and white thinking to the full spectrum of colors, seeing nuances, solutions. Creative solutions to complex social and political polarities can be found in this sacred space. You've entered a new paradigm. Your person has entered a new paradigm belonging to multiplicity, dimensionality, and inclusion. Use this for positive change. Watch the movie The Wizard of Oz. To ponder 1,000 eyes. And then the description of Jupiter did sort of call it back into what I was seeing the peacock energy being, which is, sometimes Jupiter can expand too much. So it can expand negative things as well as positive things. And it can sort of lead to, like, Jupiter can be about excess. So your person looks like they've sort of, it's like the transition for The Wizard of Oz. So like, you go from black and white to color in the same movie. That transition point where movies went from black and white and television went from black and white to color. Like, that's kind of the energy of this peacock card. But possibly that is leading your person to overextend, might be an interpretation here. There might be, I'm like getting this sense of like maybe addictions or, overindulging. I don't know why that's coming through, but maybe that resonates for somebody. I definitely was getting like a bit of a sort of negative peacock energy when I pulled that card. But I much prefer this rooted perspective of your person, and maybe both those things might resonate with some of you. One of those things might resonate with some of you, the other might resonate with some others, and maybe they go together in the same person for some of you. And the sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So just an energy of like being resonant with multiplicity, diversity, just having an appreciation of subtlety and complexity, like opening up to subtlety and complexity in a way that maybe your person had been limited to before. So they might be in those energies of expansion right now. And then, so we'll flip these over. And so what I found quite interesting about these cards is over here you've got divine counterpart, and over here your person's got twin flames. So there is definitely some kind of complementary energies happening here. I feel like you're in this like salt grinder, let's say that, of transformation. So maybe uncomfortable transformation for you, and your person is in this energy of like wee kind of transformation, and they might be quite smitten with you. I don't know. That may be something happening here, but we've got expansion, which is Jupiter energies again, pursue bigger and greater endeavors. So they might be expanding. This looks, office-y, business-y, so maybe they're expanding their work or their public life, their career, their passions, maybe something like that. But also it looks as if, for them, greater and bigger endeavors might have to do with the connection between you. But we'll see when we get to the tarot exactly where they're at or where it's going. Decisions, the need to gain clarity through decision making. So it might be that they're like at that tipping point where they need to decide whether they're going to hold with this expansion or whether they're going to go Saturn and contract. And then twin flame is spiritual connection between you and your twin flame. So it really looks to me like there's parallel sort of transformations happening here that are being experienced very positively by your person, maybe less positively, but very valuably by you. And there's definite mirroring happening here. And, you know, we've got communicate and decisions, and then we've got be open to change is sort of like go from Saturn to Jupiter. So, you know, be in your Jupiter energies. Maybe you are opening up. Maybe this person is alchemizing you to open up, or vice versa. Maybe you're catalyzing this expansion on your person's part. So if that resonates, we're going to go ahead and get into the tarot now. I might leave, I don't know if you can really see these in the shot, but I'm not sure. See if that's in the frame at all. Not quite. Right above the lightning bolt. Okay, seems like we have a lot of, like, are you seeing my knee? You probably are seeing my knee. You know, gotta make do with what we got here. I would ordinarily, I'm quite self-accepting, but sometimes I feel like I shouldn't be. I get this like strange sense that maybe I shouldn't be. So I'm gonna maybe try and pay attention to cutting the deck open. We've got the Fool in reverse, and we've got the Eight of Swords in reverse. So Eight of Swords is self-limiting beliefs, or sort of holding yourself back. The Fool is about expanding, you know, jumping off that cliff, like sort of a new journey. But the Fool in reverse would be kind of hesitation about that, or holding back. So those are sort of energies. Oh, new cards are so stiff. Do you see how shiny and pretty they are? I've seen this deck in other readers. I already pre-shuffled, so I'm going to leave it there and just get into it. So can we please have cards about how Pile 1's spirit, please tune me into how Pile 1's person is viewing them at this time. Potentially the connection too, but mainly how spirit is, or how spirit. I'm sure spirit is viewing you with all compassionate eyes, as always. Or maybe sass. I find spirit comes through as sass for me for a bit of the time. Okay. I almost feel like I should shuffle half of this deck and then shuffle the other half, but that doesn't feel like it would be fair play. We've got the Knight of Cups in reverse. We've got the Eight of Wands. We've got the Four of Swords. Whoop, something flipped. Ooh, we've got the Sun. And yeah, I'll keep going. I'm just thinking on my feet here. I think there's enough room in the frame for another row, so let's do that. We've got the Magician in reverse. I consider getting fancy and doing actual tarot layouts. Well, that was the other anecdote that I was going to tell. Is I have a couple of decks, like one that I've had since I was 14, that I cannot find right now. I've been through so many moves, and it's driving me bonkers that I can't find. And I finally looked it up, and it's the Barbara Walker Tarot, and it costs like $250 per vintage deck on YouTube or on Etsy right now. But there's a smaller tin version, but I wanted a full-size deck, but I really should just clean up my place and find everything. I'm kind of covering up the, maybe I shouldn't cover that up, I find that annoying when I'm looking at readings. Let's leave that like that so you can see all the cards. That was the King of Wands, and we've got the World in reverse. Okay, so the Knight of Cups in reverse, clarified by the Magician in reverse. So it seems like you might be on a bit of a pause. Your person might be feeling a bit powerless about that, or possibly they have possibly they've engineered the situation for this pause. Possibly they're in a kind of calculated way moving away from expressing their feelings for you at this time, or they're, it sort of looks like they're running away from feelings would be my interpretation here, and doing it in a conscious way. For what reason, I don't know, but maybe we'll get some clarifiers for that. The Eight of Wands, though, is about communication and about this is an interesting Eight of Wands because she's sort of drifting here, whereas usually they're like arrows shooting straight to the point. And it's modified by Three of Pentacles in reverse. So Three of Pentacles is about teamwork, working together, being on the same page. Three of Pentacles in reverse is sort of like working alone, not being able to get on the same page. So it might be that there's communication that feels like it ought to be direct or straightforward, but maybe you're having trouble getting on the same page as each other, or maybe your person feels like you're having difficulty getting on the same page about things. We've got the Four of Swords, which is an energy of a pause, a rest, wanting to take a break, to sort of contemplate and regroup. And then we've got the King of Wands, modifying that. And so the King of Wands is about being very balanced in your, like, sort of harnessing your passions and putting them to work in productive ways, and, not being swayed by them one way or another, but definitely, acknowledging them, feeling them, being in, sort of your divine masculine energies, in a way that acknowledges passion and look at this magic coming out of the staff here. It's beautiful energies. So it might be that pause is leading your person into some energies of feeling like they have more of a handle on their passions, or of the passion of the connection. So if you're in a divine counterpart or twin flame connection with this person, that's intense, and it can definitely be the case that a person feels like they need a pause. That is indeed part of, one of the signature markers of the divine counterpart journey, is that often the two people have to sort of go off and do their own work before regrouping, if they regroup, which is not a given necessarily. I did see a very cool interpretation of that once that I think I've shared here before, but I think it was Vibrant Soul Tarot, doing a past life reading, shared once that it might even be that two people come together in this lifetime and they're not necessarily meant to come back together within this lifetime, and that person is the person who gives you, and I'm not saying that applies here necessarily, but it might resonate for some of you, and it was a really beautiful description to me. Maybe that person is the person who gives you the gift of not coming back in, giving you the work that you need to do. And the lack of the connection, the pain of the separation, can often catalyze growth in a way that just would not be possible if there was a more smooth sailing connection. There's a really annoying beeping sound coming from somewhere. Life on the road. Okay, and then we've got the sun, the sun is beautiful energies. The sun is, comes forth to... I watched the sunrise this morning from the ferry, or in the ferry terminal, waiting for the first boat that was taking me away from my computer, that I'm now going back to fetch. And I was just noticing how it was like everything was just dark, the harbor, the trees in the background, there was a ferry that was in the port, just sitting there, not my ferry, but another ferry, and not the ferry I was waiting for. And there are it was like there was no distinction. Like it was all just kind of like this blackness beyond the lights of the ferry terminal. And then there was this moment where all of a sudden I could see the trees distinct from the sky, and the sky was like just barely starting to become, you know, that very like midnight shade of blue, you know, just a shade away from black. But it was like all of a sudden there was distinction. There was a way to, it was almost like the description of this card, like it was like the sun coming in, the light coming in allowed, you know, it's just like our eyes obviously are calibrated as human beings on this earth, like day creatures of the planet Earth, to see distinctions when the sun is out, because we are diurnal. But it was like that was the difference between, like, that is why the sun is comforting, and you know, it dispels the darkness, and why it is such a powerful symbol. I have sometimes I have reactions about, you know, sun versus moon, and why does it have to be versus, and why is the feminine associated with the mirroring of the light of the masculine, and it just feels a little, I actually looked it up once, and indeed I had this instinct, and indeed it turns out that the historical record shows that the sun was initially associated with the goddess, with the feminine, and then there was, you know, the sort of patriarchy coming in of the ancient Egyptian years. I think it was like even pre-Sumerian, or maybe it was Sumerian, but there was a point where, like, basically as soon as civilization began, the sun became associated with the masculine, and then with the god Ra in the Egyptian canon. And it was like, I think initially there was, even in the Egyptian canon, I think it was associated with Hathor, if I'm not mistaken, or possibly with the antecedents of Hathor. And the moon was associated with the masculine. And there's always been something about the way the moon is described that there's like a lie in that to me. And so, but I also very much worship the sun, and, you know, it's the condition of possibility for life. It, like, it feels good on our skin. Anyway, I don't know why I'm going on about the sun, but so we've got the sun card here. So this person might feel like you are the thing that has, you know, created this, their capacity to see in color, you know, like that is coming through here. I was already sort of alluding to that in the oracle cards, and with the world in reverse, here's my reversal knowledge. I'm just going to pull out a guidebook for that one. Don't mind the man behind the curtain being me in this moment. I just feel the pressure when I'm doing readings, and I don't want to get it wrong. Not that there's a wrong when it comes to channeling in tarot readings, but withdrawal, giving up, apathy, stasis, disharmony. So that's what we got. I feel like there's, in my cheat sheet, which is on my computer, which is not here. Okay, I am hopeful that most of that got recorded, but you know, we're working with possibly not quite ideal conditions here. I don't know if that's even in the frame at this point. So it might be that this person is sort of feeling apathetic about the light. Like, they definitely feel that you are this light that has catalyzed them being able to, or you just are the light that has catalyzed them being able to see in living color. But it might be that they're at this time feeling kind of separate from that, or, you know, suppressing it, avoiding. They might be in an avoidant energy. And so at this time it might be that they're in this sort of pause energy. So I'm just going to get a couple of cards and clarify it. So Spirit, can we get a clarifier for the world in reverse? King of Wands. We've got the King of Wands twice here. And then we've got Judgment. So it might be that maybe they're seeing you as the King of Wands. Maybe they feel like you are the sort of magical energy, and that you've really got your stuff together, and that they have to, not that they have to, but they're feeling like, it seems like they might be a little bit overwhelmed by the light, and sort of pulling back on that basis. But So it might be that that reaction that they're having is going to be sort of transforming into a King of Wands energy. The Judgment is like transformation, like very sort of drastic change or epiphany, forgiveness, self-forgiveness. So yeah, what I'm seeing is your person looks like they've sort of engineered a pause, but they're definitely feeling this call to integrate their passions and make the decision to be in those energies. So that's sort of what I'm seeing. It's almost like maybe they're taking a bit of space right now because they felt overwhelmed by their feelings for you or this connection. And so at this point, they might be needing just a little bit of a break to see where that goes. So, and then can we get a clarifier for the Knight of Cups and Magician in reverse? We've got the Knight of Wands. Okay, so we're getting a lot of Wands energy. Wands is passion. Your person may be feeling quite drawn to you in a carnal, passionate way, and got the Chariot as well. So it looks like perhaps they were taking this pause, but I'd say they're looking to come out of that pause, and it might be like they're drawn to you in a physical way, not just physical, but like they find you magnetic, and they're really wanting to sort of make that connection happen. And I'm speaking kind of euphemistically because of YouTube censors. Okay, Bylwen, I am back. So I boarded the ferry. I'm very impressed that not many things fell. Just realizing I reversed the earrings, but anyway. So getting back into it and hopefully wrapping this up. So I just wanted to come back and say, so Wands are passion, and the King of Wands, especially coming through twice, is just very strong passion. And it's passion in just a very, like, this person's very magnetized towards you, I would say, at this time. And wanting to, it looks like, I'm not actually seeing that much in the way of feelings, but I'm seeing very strong magnetism and possibly a sense of overwhelm about that. And however, I'm also seeing that you've catalyzed this person, as I was saying, into seeing the world in color in a new way, or sort of having an appreciation of complexity in a way that is new for them and is creating an expansion for them at this time. But it's coming through as a very strong, passionate drive towards you, where before, like, maybe you've been in a pause up to now, and it looks like that energy is, maybe they've been through some kind of revelation that has prompted them to go from Four of Swords energy into this King of Wands, desire to make things happen here. That's kind of what I'm getting. I still have a question about this Three of Pentacles in reverse, and then I think we'll pull a couple of advice cards, and then we'll leave it there. So, Spirit, can you please clarify the Three of Pentacles in reverse? These cards are very flimsy. I do like a stiff tarot card, although harder to shuffle. Okay. Clarifier for the Three of Pentacles in reverse, please, Spirit. A whole lot of cards just flipped over, but we'll take the top one, which is Justice in reverse, and then we'll maybe have a look at the others. Four of Wands in reverse, Sun in reverse. Got the Emperor and the Four of Pentacles. It really bothers me to put things on top of things like that. I'm going to try and get comfortable with it because, who cares, really? you have the power of the rewind. You can go back and see that screen before I put those cards there. Okay, so Three of Pentacles, so possibly not being on the same page, trying to get on track with communication between you, or possibly between the two of you and external parties, I don't know. But just kind of maybe not being able to come into alignment with each other about that. And it might be that maybe they've undergone some negative karma in respect of that. Maybe that negative karma has to do with being non-committal with you, or being deprived of, perhaps you set a boundary with this person and they felt deprived of your sun energies. So, like you are the sun to them, but to the extent that you weren't able to get on the same page about maybe you've been having a hush-hush relationship with this person and you wanted it to be above board and open, and maybe you weren't able to agree on that, and they are experiencing sort of the loss of your light with the sun in reverse as a result of not committing to having, living life out loud and proud with you. And and then the Four of Pentacles and the Emperor. Four of Pentacles is attachment, so they might be feeling very strongly attached to your light, or to you, or to the connection, or they might be in their comfort zone. Maybe they weren't able to get on the same page as you because of being attached to their comfort zone. Like they have sort of a comfortable life that they're not wanting to depart from, and they're trying to control. The Emperor is the King of Kings and divine masculine, and can be really great energies, but it can also be sort of a high level of control. These are both fours as well, which is square energies. And then we've got the Four of Wands. So we've got a 4-4-4 here with the Four of Wands. So that's interesting. That may be a significant number for you, or you might want to... I literally just saw that number when I went to the bathroom a moment ago on the ferry. So maybe that was for you. And anyway, so it might be that they have been thus far sort of keeping a tight control on their comfortable, life or circumstances in a way that would be disrupted by being more open about the connection, if that resonates. But they are just feeling very strongly drawn to you in a way that I think is probably going to catalyze them past this, or is catalyzing them into this sort of expansion energies. Maybe you've been in this sort of taking personally whatever their reluctance to move into the next phase of your relationship has been, but you're coming into integrating that and gleaning the wisdom from it. And in the meantime, maybe I don't know, maybe you've been chasing and they've been running, but maybe you just stopped chasing, and now that's catalyzing them to come back around, if that resonates. Okay, so we're gonna get some advice cards. So I shuffled these earlier and then I pulled some, and I haven't worked with them before in a reading, so I realized very quickly that they would be better as advice cards. So this is just kind of, they'll give you a sense of what to focus on. They've got this romantic looking heteronormative white couple on the front that definitely has some romance to it. But then the actual cards are kind of ass-kicking, so they're better as advice cards. Are we still recording? I think we are. This is going to be a hilarious reading, patched together in editing. That's too many. Spirit. Okay, advice for pile 1, please. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. We'll take the top one of those. We've got Moon Dreamer. Love illuminates even the darkest of corners. So that may be a message to focus on love, on compassion, holding compassion for your person as they go through, their transformation. Definitely holding compassion for yourself. bringing love to the darkest corners, bring love to that despicable face, whatever that is that maybe you haven't wanted to face in yourself until now when you're feeling called to integrate it. We have something flipped over here. Come back card. Devotion blooms. Nurture both blossoms and thorns with tenderness. Well, that definitely, we're going to put that right up there. That is the message of that card. We get a few more messages for pile 1, please, Spirit. We got dawn of recovery. With each new beginning, embrace risk as a gateway to healing and renewal. Sorry for that's the ferry. We're moving. We're in the middle of the ocean. This reading is coming to you from the oceanic depths of the Salish Sea. Emptiness echoes. In absence, feel the lonely spaces, yearning for a comforting presence. So maybe don't turn away from your feelings of loneliness, or feeling the absence of your person if you are in separation right now, but lean into it. Lean into it and, lean into whatever that brings up for you, and nurture those thorns with tenderness along with the blossoms. Any more advice for pile 1, please, Spirit? We have open hearts. In vulnerability, we talk and reveal, forging deeper connections through honesty. So bring your honesty to the conversation. We did have that 8 of Swords in there, and then there was a message about communication in here as well. And we've got veiled paths. Face the mystery of uncharted passages with the courage to explore unknown. So you've got an echo of that oracle card we pulled earlier of allowing change, and so allowing the unknown, leaning into the unknown, embracing it. I got maybe 2 more. Any more cards for pile 1, please, Spirit? Goodness, a whole lot of cards just came out. I don't know if I feel called to get the top one and the bottom one, which were both visible, and then I think we're going to call it. Wild at heart, a desire for freedom leads to running away again. Okay, so if there was a runner in this dynamic, whether it was you or the other person, then it may be that there's a yearning for freedom that leads to a repeat of the cycle. So you may need to use your discretion about whether to allow this person back, or whether to allow yourself back with this person if you're the runner, and just use your discretion about whether that is the appropriate action for you. Liberated destiny. With release comes freedom, steering face towards an unwritten future. So maybe you're getting a call to trying to set that so you can take a photo of the whole thing if you want. Hopefully that's all in frame. With release comes freedom, steering face towards an unwritten future. So maybe that, for some of you, that might mean maybe you need to walk away. Maybe you're feeling a call to walk away. And maybe you need to have some bravery to face the unknowns. And, maybe this is a journey you've taken together, and maybe that's something that you are working on releasing. That could be the alchemy that you're working on. And on the bottom we have counsel's compass. Seek advice to steer judgment as insightful talks illuminate your journey. So you might be seeking out the wisdom of friends or of elders in your community, or possibly an actual counselor. So it looks like there's some deeply transformative energies happening here, and it looks as if your person is feeling really drawn towards you, and then I guess you've got a decision to make if they do in fact come back about whether to, because I'm not seeing a lot of feelings on your person's part, but I am seeing a strong attraction to you, and a desire to make good in that attraction. So it's for you to decide if that resonates, and if it does, where you want to take that. Maybe that's perfect for you, maybe that's exactly what you want from this person, but if it's not, then you might want to consider liberation and freedom and an unwritten future, and just having faith in in that unwritten future, and nurturing that for yourself. Okay, Pile 1, I hope that helped. We're going to leave it there, and thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading. Welcome to your back of the van, on the road tarot card reading. I do get a kick out of it. I explained it in the intro, but it really feels like Spirit just kind of engineered this whole situation, and I'm probably only going to be able to get through, I'm betting I'm only going to get through your cards, might get into your person's, and then I'm going to have to pause and do some driving and get on another ferry and do some more driving. So I'll just keep recording. Once I have my computer, I'll have to actually get the work done that I set out for myself for today. It's not life if it's not a deadline, right? Okay, so, but I really love how Spirit has sort of cleared the way for this tarot reading for now, and this is the only way that it could possibly have happened with my schedule as it is right now. So, you know, I pretty much have to be like deprived of my actual work in order to prioritize a tarot reading right now, which, you know, and I just have not felt called to it until now, and then I very much got the call and then couldn't do it the other night, and it was like this morning, like last night, I packed the cards and I was like, I'm just going to take them all, and maybe I'll find a minute this weekend. Maybe I'll be in sort of lighter energies than I have been with my work stuff lately. And sure enough, okay, so let's have a look at your cards. So I ended up pulling 2 of the Alchemy cards for each person, and you've got the Hyros Gamos, or Alchemical Wedding, and the Yellowing. And so the Hyros Gamos is about union. It's about divine union. And in alchemy, that would mean the unification of 2 polarities. Reading the introduction for this book, I learned a little bit that I did not know about alchemy, and it actually really resonated for me, in that there's something about the union of polarities, and Hyros Gamos is usually described as the union of divine counterparts. That's the context that I know it from, at least in the Tantra context. But Tantra, again, is, it sort of has a reputation in Western culture, but it actually is about polarities. And so in the alchemy context, it looks like this very much has to do with bringing 2 polarities together. And so those polarities do not have to be ascribed to gender or sexuality or anything. They just are polarities. So in this case, we've got some color polarities happening. And so the alchemical wedding would be where, 2 elements are combined and they create something new. And, that's the simplest description of it. And so it might be that I actually feel like I need to pull up the guidebook just to make sure there isn't something else in her description that I'm missing. Ah, yes, celebrate, a moment of levity and lightness. And watch the Flaming Lips music video, Do You Realize? And ponder intimacy without sex. So there you go. It's funny, I was already leaning that way. The laboratory morphs into a dreamlike dance floor, and all your allies, fellow alchemists, and ancestors are here to witness the celebration. What once was lost has been found. What once was denied has come fully into the alchemist's embrace. So the work is often serious and studious, but this is a moment of levity and celebration. So, and then the Yellowing was about a transition point where either, here, I'll just pull it up. The transition is here, whether by yoke or bile. So whether it's the end of a season, the end of a healing, so she talks about a deep bruise turning yellow towards the end in the final phases of healing, or the marker of long-awaited growth, the first rays of the sun, the cheer of forsythia in February. Man, who has forsythia blooming in February? I think it's like April for us. This was obviously written in a southern clime, and yeah, sorry, I just had a rush of compassion for that particular southern country at this moment. Okay, and how you respond is up to you, and it's likely you already know. Go deeper. Look at Terry O'Neill's photographs of David Bowie in 1974 and ponder transition as teacher. So if that's resonating for you, you're in the right place. So it might be that you're, in a celebration moment at the end of a healing. That could be one interpretation here. It might be that you have in some way brought some poles together in your own life, and that you're like at a moment of blooming. Let's get your other cards here and we'll see what we've got. We've got balance, embrace, and acceptance. So embrace and acceptance are, echoing what that one was saying. So it's, there might be a healing or a transition happening, or the end of a transition maybe that requires celebration at this point, or that, you should allow yourself to feel and celebrate. And it might also be that there's an embrace of your current state of being. Find peace with your current state of being that needs to happen, or an acceptance of past and current situations and work through issues gracefully. And then balance, juggling too many things at once, find time for yourself. So maybe you've been celebrating and, you're sort of at the end of the celebration. That could be another interpretation here. And maybe it's time for you to come back into balance or find balance for yourself. But so it looks like there's this sort of mix of levity, celebration, and healing, and coming to the end of something, whether because that's a new blooming or the end of, like a fall. It could be a spring or a fall energy with this yellowing. And then for your person, we have glass and sun. And so this description of, are we in the frame? Cool. Okay. So this description of the sun was very much, I described this in pile 1, but I'll just repeat it here. It made me think this morning. It was talking about how the sun brings the light and it sort of comes into the night sky and catalyzes us into day. And I was sitting in the ferry terminal this morning watching the light change. It's like I happened to be staring off into space at the exact moment that the light shifted for my human eyes. And I was noting, of course, that our human eyes have been calibrated as diurnal creatures who walk the earth to be able to see things with distinction when the sun comes back around to bring us the day. And it's a very cloudy, rainy day today. So there was no obvious sun. There was actually for a split second that it was like a lighter shade of cloud for a moment, which, up here in the northern reaches we call sun sometimes in the winter. There was a bit of sun just for a split second, but it was definitely had a bit of a cloud over top of it. But anyway, not at that moment. So at that moment I was staring into the darkness of sort of beyond the ferry terminal, and there was forest and ocean and sky, but they were all one thing. They were just all this one sort of blackness, and it was like all of a sudden I could distinguish the trees from the sky, and the ocean was, still below and darker. And it was like that beautiful, special moment when the sun comes back and brings the day again. And it's just like, I am a person who revels in the sunrise and grieves when the sun sets. I always feel a moment of grief at the sunset, especially if I'm out on the land at an event or something like that. There's always this moment when the sun is setting that it's like I feel almost a sense of primeval panic for half a second. But anyway, so the complete opposite of that at the sunrise, where it's sort of like any challenges of the night just are melting away, and all of a sudden my eyes can see clearly. And that was that moment of like, I realized that the sun is special to us and, properly venerated because it brings distinction back to our eyes. Like all of a sudden we can see our world a lot more clearly. And this card is about exactly that. And so glass refers to, like, you can see here the glass is dirty, in need of a clean, and here it's been cleaned and you can see through, and it brings things into sharp focus. And so the message of that card was that being vigilant about cleansing, spiritually cleansing, I would say. So your person may be in an energy of being in the light of the sun, being, in a moment of celebration, of happiness, of loveliness, but of needing to maintain their own integrity, their own purity, their own vigilance in order to bring that light in clearly. And, and the obfuscation of the light is its own, that's sort of like Patanjali's concept of sin is just consequence, right? So if you let the glass get dirty, that light's not going to come through. And, there's no moral failing there. It just is a fact. It's just the actual 3D world consequence of not cleaning the glass, is that you can't experience the light. So your person might be in an energy of being in that light and needing to sort of spiritually cleanse or be vigilant about their own practices, their own integrity, in order to keep that light coming through. Maybe an important moment for them in that respect. And indeed, they have energy activation, wisdom, and boundaries. So connect to the divine through meditation or prayer. So it might be that they are connecting to the divine through meditation or prayer right now. They may be very literally focusing on the light of, their deity, whatever they do connect to. They might be in an energy of being quite vigilant about that and ensuring that they've got that open source connection, and that they're caring for that and tending it on the daily through meditation or prayer. Wisdom, knowledge gained through experiences or from a wise counselor. So not only the sort of open channel of communicating with spirit, but also they might be reflecting on or having a new perspective on their own wisdom, or wisdom that they've sort of accrued from other people around them. And then they might be in an energy of boundaries as well. Know when to put up and let down your walls. So it might be that they're meditating on boundaries or meditating on wisdom. It might be that we've got a very clear boundary here. There's a boundary in this card as well. And sort of a darkening around the, on the outside of that boundary, and like it really kind of crystallizes in the form of the triangle, and then inside that triangle is very clear. And so it might be that they're considering boundaries around their spiritual practices, could be one interpretation, or just around their own integrity. I keep coming back to integrity, so maybe that's a message for someone or someone's person, or a description of where your person is at right now. And then it really looks to me like these cards are in tandem with these ones. So, you can only see that wisdom if you're keeping the glass clean, and you're keeping, if that's where you want the boundary to be, then you're only going to see that much of the picture. But if you want to see that much of the picture, you have to keep that whole glass clean and, set boundaries around, decide where that boundary is going to be and protect it, right? Protecting your boundaries. Conversely, maybe allowing those boundaries to loosen, to bring another person in, like maybe there's somebody on the other side of that glass and you can't see them unless you expand your boundaries, or even you want to see them in sharp focus, maybe you need to contract your boundaries. I don't know. It looks like there's a meditation on boundaries happening for your person. So it looks like you're in an energy of acceptance, celebration and acceptance. Your person's in an energy of celebration and sort of demarcating their boundaries and maintaining their connection with spirit. And so if that's resonating, we'll move on to the tarot, which I might go ahead and pull for you, because I hear that we're about to dock, and I kind of want to stay in the energies of this moment. That's getting awfully loud though. I'm going to have to jump into the front and drive in a moment. Okay, Spirit, what is Pile 2's person feeling about Pile 2 or the connection at this moment? We've got 2 of Pentacles. The person's trying to make a decision. We've got the World upside down. got the Hangman upside down, the Nine of Cups, the Six of Cups, which is not quite in frame. We might have to go up a bit here. Six of Cups, which is nostalgia, but can also be soulmate energy. Knight of Pentacles, I think I'm going to call that upright. It kind of came out sideways. Hangman in reverse, clarify for the Hangman in reverse. Ooh, I like that Nine of Cups. Those look like bones. She's got a fan made out of bones, made out of cups. It's a really interesting energy for the Nine of Cups. We've got Two of Cups in reverse. And then clarifier for the Nine of Cups. We've got the Knight of Wands. Okay, so it looks to me like your person is feeling a nostalgia for maybe the connection that you have had together. If you're in separation, then it might be that they're thinking back to times that you spent together quite fondly. But if this Knight of Pentacles, if we consider it sideways, I just looked this card up for pile one in reverse, and it was mainly about apathy or indifference, sort of not moving things forward. But the world is also an ending, and I kind of feel like it could be sort of the start of a new phase or coming out of an ending into a new cycle. And it's funny because that did not come through for pile one. But anyway, so Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight. It means there's energy happening, movement happening, but just at a very, very slow pace, like so slow that it's very subtle and you almost just can't see it happening. The horse is standing still here, and the horse is even not a horse. They're made out of leaves. I don't know how far that Knight of Pentacles is going to get on their horse of leaves. Maybe you have to wait till spring for that horse. Like the horse is growing at the speed of a plant. That does seem resonant. Okay, I'm going to have to jump into the front any second here for the Knight of Pentacles. But it may be that your person is sort of not in an energy of wanting to pursue or transform the connection at this time, even though they are feeling like they have to make a decision, and they are influenced very much by this sort of nostalgia feeling, or a feeling that you are connected as soulmates here. But it might be that they're just not quite, they're moving very, very slowly and kind of feeling indifference or apathy about it at this time. But then we've got the Hangman in reverse. So the Hangman in reverse could be sort of a compounding of that energy. And the Two of Cups in reverse means sort of not being aligned, not seeing eye to eye. And so it might be that they're feeling like the Hangman could be in reverse. It could be sort of coming out of the energies of stagnation into forward movement, but with the World in reverse and the Two of Cups in reverse, I'm seeing more that it's sort of like they're feeling stuck. There's some stuck energy here. Nine of Cups is about satisfaction, so it might be that they're contemplating what would be their satisfaction in this connection, or more generally, and that they are feeling a very strong pull to move towards that. So whatever that satisfaction is for them, they're feeling a pull to move towards it. Okay, hi Pile 2, I'm back, having gone on a bit of a mission, and hoping to get this one finished before I board the next ferry. It is quite a day of journeys, and had I not made this ferry, I might have gotten cranky about it, but as it is, I think it is quite funny. I'm starting to get a little tired, if I'm being honest, but up until now, it's been a hilarious adventure. Okay, so let's get back into your person's energies. So, yeah, I'm just looking at these cards again, and so we've got Two of Pentacles with the Six of Cups. So one interpretation, I didn't quite flesh this out before, but one interpretation of this pairing could be that the that your person is trying to figure out if there's a stronger, deeper connection between you, and you know, is going back over things that have happened between you as they try to make that decision. And so, you know, whatever the conclusion of that is, it just doesn't really look like they're in an energy of moving forward too quickly, although they might be moving somewhat. And that's kind of reinforced with this over here. And it might even be that their lack of forward movement is causing some tension between you. That's sort of what I'm seeing at this point. Sorry if I was a bit rushed before. So it's easier to read when you're not looking over your shoulder for whether you're about to board a ferry. Yeah, I do love this card. Is that not so cool? Like, she's got roses and bones. There's kind of my two things. I love it. You know, and just like a cascade of miniatures all making up a fan. She's very fancy. I like her a lot. This might be my favorite Nine of Cups ever. Not that I've seen that many, but okay. And then I was saying that this person is trying to figure out what brings them happiness or satisfaction, and then is very keen to rush right into that as quickly as possible. And so let's look at, I'm going to look at this Two of Cups in reverse. So Stuart, could we please get some clarifiers for the Two of Cups in reverse? So we've got the Eight of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And remember, I wasn't quite sure if that came out in reverse or upright. So now we've got it in reverse clearly. So in the upright, the Knight of Pentacles does refer to a slow-moving person, but also somebody who's reliable. Like, they are steadily progressing. You know, like, the plants are growing here. They're just in their infancy. Sorry, it's not funny if you're the person waiting for those plants to grow up and be usable, harvestable. I just think it's quite funny about the Knight of Pentacles. I actually pull this one a lot in my own readings. And there was a reader the other day who made a joke. She sort of analogized from a plant that she has that can be seen moving. I forget what she called it. A prayer plant that can be seen moving. It was Divine Empress, for anybody who wants to check her out. She's very good. And full of heart. But on a time lapse, you can actually see it moving through the course of a day. And so I just thought that was a really funny analogy for the Knight of Pentacles, because it's like if you put your person under time lapse, you would see forward movement, but short of a time lapse, maybe you would not. I think that's very, very funny. Okay, so in the reverse, it would mean distraction, boredom, shirking responsibility, imprudent. So in the upright, it's somebody who is steadily progressing, who's, you know, perhaps attending to, like, just making sure, you know, they're pouring the water on the plants, and they're feeding in the fertilizer, and they're ensuring they get enough light from the right angle, and, you know, they're very attentive, and, you know, it might take a long time for that harvest to come in, but it's going to be a great harvest when it comes in because it's been done in the right way. And then, so in the reverse, it would refer to somebody who's distracted from their tasks or lacking the requisite attention to bring that harvest to fruition. We've got the Eight of Wands, so communication. So maybe there's an attempt at communication about a disconnect in the relationship. Might be that there was some kind of pause happening that, you know, maybe one or both of you took space to reflect on this disconnect and on a disconnect between you. And then, so your person might be in the energy of wanting to communicate about that, but not quite taking the steps to actually bring that communication forth. But they are, you know, writing their to-do list. They are sort of looking into how to bring that communication into effect. So there's maybe a conversation that they want to have with you, would be my interpretation of that. But they're going about it quite slowly. Let's see, can we get a clarifier for the Nine of Cups, Spirit? What is the Nine of Cups about here? Please tune me into pile two's person's Nine of Cups energy. I mean, it could be that they're chasing after, you know, maybe they're chasing after skirts. Maybe they're a skirt chaser of whatever gender, pursuing whatever gender, but analogize from that term if you're familiar with it. It just means like a lad in the 1950s who went running after the next lovely young woman who walked by. I think it's a 1950s expression. I have no idea. Google could probably tell you. Okay. Or it could mean that they're looking at wanting to have a long-term relationship and sort of considering what would bring them satisfaction. Maybe this pause was to do that considering, and they're looking at, it might even be that they did believe that their satisfaction would come from being in a committed relationship, and they might have taken a pause to consider whether that's what they really want, or it could be that they, having taken a pause, are now aware that their satisfaction will come from having a committed sort of family type relationship with another person, like a relationship that could lead to, creating a family together, or deeply investing into each other emotionally. And perhaps they are feeling some regret about not having created that with you or in their life to date. And it does look like they are looking at trying to bring that about in their life. So, and I would say with the Knight of Wands under here with some urgency. So it might be that this passion could be, like a skirt chaser energy, but it looks actually more like it's an urgency, a passionate urgency at sort of getting out of these regret energies and moving into whatever the next phase might be. And so, but it looks as if that next phase for them does involve a level of commitment. That's what they think will bring them happiness. And in the event that it's too late for that, maybe you've kicked them to the curb and it's too late. In that case, they might be trying to move on and sort of, process that regret and move on. But if there is still energy between you, then it does look to me as if they're wanting to move out of the regret energies and, take the steps, like those careful, cultivated steps, even if they move at the pace of molasses, towards you, towards a deeply committed relationship. So it does look like there's love here and a devotion to the connection. And depending on what the state of your connection is at this point, I would say that your person is hoping, they're at least feeling some regret about not having walked that path with you to date. So I hope that resonates. We're gonna get this deck and get some advice. Whoa. Perhaps we should take that one. It just flew right off the top. Beyond compare. Don't compare your love to anyone else. It's unique. So I'm just taking the meaning that is upright to me from the vantage point of the camera. We'll get a bunch of these and just get some advice for pile 2, Spirit, please. So this is advice for you. We have Spirit speaks. Seek wisdom in prayer, but also have an open dialogue. That might also be some wisdom for your person if they are focusing on prayer at this time. So open dialogue, this 8 of Wands, it looks like it will be helpful for this connection. Achievable insight. Embrace practical steps towards clarity, bringing your goals within reach. Between the lines. Uncover the truth carefully and write your own ending. I don't know, between this Ten of Cups here and the High Rose Gamos, I am sort of feeling like there might be a very good, or at least very committed outcome for this connection, especially with this sequence here. I think your person might be coming towards you and it just might not be quite evident yet. We've got silent remnants. Amid the uncertainty, love has the power to rebuild trust. So there you go. That says it much more pithily than I just did. To rebuild trust with love. Through love. Use love to rebuild trust. Rebuild trust with love. I don't know how to say that. You get the idea. Oh, we have a card flipped over here. I'm going to get called to board the next boat very shortly. Inner compass. Trust your instincts to lead you in the right direction. What are the messages for pile 2, please, Spirit? That one just fell right out of my hand. Icy goodbyes. Amidst unclear pasts and frozen moments, the hardest choice is leaving for clarity. So it might be that some of you are making the choice to move on, or your person might be making the choice to move on. You'll know if that resonates for you. It will already, I think, be evident for you, and that may be a confirmation. Shards of love. Past trauma leaves scars. Take time to heal yourself. Missed chances. Don't have regrets. Cherish your moments together. Prickly defenses. Barriers caused by past hurts block you. Be patient. It's interesting because this row felt quite positive and then this row's feeling not so much. So it might be that, it could even be that one of you is feeling these energies and the other one is feeling these energies. And again, you're going to need to communicate to sort of get back into alignment or on the same page. And either way, perhaps you're in a situation that it might feel good to move on from, not necessarily separately, but by addressing the issues and having some open, clear communication. But if you're in a situation where that's not possible because, perhaps you're in a no contact situation, then I would say the message here is to focus on your own healing and, sort of consider what past hurts have caused barriers that have blocked your own energy, and that might have spilled over into the connection. Let's see if we've got anything else here. Soulful synergy. Vulnerability weaves hearts in a dance of harmony, unity, and flow. Delicate dawn. From fragile beginnings, nurture growth and hold on to the promise of hope. And this is going to be our last one. Moon dreamer. Love illuminates even the darkest of corners. Bottom of the deck, we've got playful innocence. Embrace a childish spirit, where baby steps lead to joy, not seriousness. So I think that's a much better note to leave it on. So, if this was one person's energy and this is the other person's, then this might be, if you put them together. So focus on vulnerability in order to achieve harmony, unity, and flow. Nurture fragile beginnings. Nurture growth carefully. Love illuminates even the darkest of corners. And embrace a childish spirit, leading to joy, not seriousness, with baby steps. So it might be that there's a connection that needs to be nurtured with, the way that you'd nurture a baby when they're born, from just being a bundle of needs into starting to perceive the world and then starting to actually physically navigate the world on their own, and you'd hold them for the first part. I was going to say you'd hold their hand through the whole thing. You might hold their hand through the whole thing. Or rather, they'd hold your finger. And in that charming, bizarrely strong way that babies do. And, you know, eventually you're going to be holding their hands as they take their first steps. And so, but either way, you'd be nurturing them and ensuring that they have the best possible chance of success in the world that they can. And, you know, you want to give that same nurturing energy to yourself, to your partner, and to your connection. So we'll leave it there, Pile 2. I hope that was helpful. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for being here. Bye. Hi, Pile 3. Welcome to your pile. So we're looking at how your person is feeling about you or about the connection at this time. So we've got you on the left here and your person on the right. So we'll just move them to the side for now. And for you, this is the check-in to see if the energies match where you're at. So for you, we've got winter and summer. And the Alchemy deck is divided into different sections, and there's a section called Seasons. And you could almost think that I didn't shuffle well enough. But in fact, I've done several of the, washing machine shuffles since I've had the deck. And I've shuffled as well, and shuffled before this reading began. And so this is definitely coming out for a reason. And so I looked at the descriptions earlier, and winter it said that it's the start of the alchemical calendar. So it's sort of like when things are happening beneath the soil, when, so in order for spring to be a thing, there has to be a winter first, where it looks as if things are dormant, but there's growth happening beneath the soil. It didn't directly say that in the description, but that was my interpretation of what the description said. So winter is like this time of sort of germination, like when things are just beginning to happen. And it's if fall is when things die, then winter is when they're starting to, it's the conception time, let's say that. If spring is birth, fall is death, then winter would be conception. It's like the transition point where one cycle becomes the next cycle. And so there was oh dear, stay. Understand why this is more wobbly than it was before. How's that for our perspective here? Okay. It's all a work in progress, my friends. Okay, so in alchemy, winter comes first. It is the beginning, the origin. It indicates we are suspended in Mother Earth's pause. This is not the time for doing, going, or getting. Winter opens the portal to the divine. Magic is afoot, under the surface. In the glimmering snow and sparkling ice, we see winter's water in crystalline form, each droplet a prism into the mystic realm. Don't get caught up in the gloom or isolation of the season. Rather, spin toward the sacred light. Spring will come in time. Read Hidden Messages in Water by Masaru Emoto. I think everyone's fairly familiar with the Emoto experiments, but if you're not, it's pretty cool. Pretty flippin' cool. And to ponder, the activity within dormancy. So it's an energy of dormancy that nonetheless has some activity sort of percolating in, like, it would be like the 12th house, like when your subconscious is sort of very subtly active, but you won't become aware of that until it reaches the first house, until it comes into your consciousness. And then summer is the polar opposite, which is alchemically quite interesting. That's very significant that those two cards came out together. And maybe I'll just read this. Fullness, vitality, sensuality. To experience summer is to be embodied. The summer air kisses every crevice of our body, opening us up in ways long forgotten. Lust, desire, laughter, sweat, physicality. These are all expressions of summer's fullness shining through. When this card appears, know that the senses are heightened and the work is nearing full expression. It may feel as though things are electrified or about to burst. Keep in mind that like all the alchemical seasons, summer will soon pass. For now, everything in your narrative is fleshed out, and the story has just another chapter or two until it begins again. So revel in this time of ripening and rhythm. Celebrate, gather, connect. Whether the season is literal or metaphorical, let yourself be swept into the pulse of these hot and heavy nights. Watch the movie Call Me By Your Name, and to ponder all that is ripening. So you may be in an energy of feeling pulled towards stasis and feeling pulled towards embodied fullness, and kind of, maybe dancing with that polarity. You might feel pulled between them. It might be uncomfortable, maybe an uncomfortable tension, or it might be like a really delicious, ripe tension that, maybe you're feeling both of those things at once. Maybe there's a part of your life where you're feeling one and a part where you're feeling the other. Or maybe you're just even contemplating or holding both of those with you right now, in different ways, in ways that might potentially transform in that alchemical way. And for the cards, we've got Divine Timing, Lovers spelt as love ears. This is one reason why I think this deck is quite hilarious. And Recognition. So admiration for your hard work is coming. Divine timing, everything has a higher purpose. And Lovers, a passionate connection, shared vision and values. And maybe there's something about sound or hearing or being talked about in your connection, just playing off this ears typo. Love ears. Maybe you love your lover's ears. And so divine timing, this is very, divine timing. If you're in this winter phase, summer is coming. If you're in the summer phase, winter is coming. It's a cycle, and it all plays out according to divine timing. And everything is fleeting. Everything is temporary. Everything changes. Anicca. And so if you've been, working really hard without it being visible on the surface, admiration for your hard work is coming. It will come to fruition. And maybe that work has to do with your connection with your person. But in any case, it looks like you're delighting in passionate connections or shared visions and values. And just looking ahead, because at some point I'm going to have to board this ferry, but let's go ahead and get your person's alchemy cards. So we have Venus and we have Darkening. And Venus is fairly self-explanatory. The description in this book leans very much towards Venus as sensuality, sexuality, experiencing passion, sort of being called into the senses. And so Venus as a planet in astrology can also refer to money, business, values, what you value, whether your values align, or what sort of area it's important for your values to, what area within the astrological chart, or which house sign your values feel like they need to be aligned to in order for you to be in integrity with yourself. But in this deck, it does refer also to just that sort of Shakti, I'd say, the Shakti energy of, the sumptuousness of life, being in the allness of life, like, not the container that holds the life, but like life, like pulsating life. That's kind of the Venus energies coming through with this card. And Darkening, I may read out because I'm not sure that I can paraphrase it very well. And I really loved what she writes here. Depth, readiness, churning. In alchemy, and this is also why I chose the snake for this pile, this lovely, pretty, losing its gems snake. It's almost like it has extra eyes. I think it's losing even more gems. Maybe I should take better care of it. Goodness, looks like it lost a few recently. Okay, in alchemy, darkness is an achievement. It indicates that material has been through a significant occurrence, sometimes called an initiatory experience, that has brought it into a state of readiness for the work. The darkness prepares us. We've moved beyond the small talk and chit-chat of the upper world and descended into the psychic layers of the soul. We admit who we are, fully and bravely, and thus open ourselves to the process of transformation. So sort of Scorpio energies is what I'm getting from that. You know, no longer dwelling on the surface of things, but getting down into the depths. And it just keeps going deeper in this description as well, which I really liked. When this card appears, it's not necessary to delve into what brought you here, the initiation, likely by fire, that has caused the embers to char. Rather, it's time to heal, and darkness is the remedy. Closing your eyes is a voluntary expression of darkening. By practicing it daily, we drop into the depths and surrender. As the alchemist's eye adjusts, transformation begins. Go deeper. Watch Nina Simone perform Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair. And I feel like that should be homework for everyone. To ponder the wisdom of dusk. Hi, Pile 3. Welcome back to the last part of your reading. That was probably quite a jump from your perspective. And so many things happened that have led to this setup in this moment. And but the highlight, so the first thing is that I had to, sorry, my brain just went in 6 different tracks at once. So first of all, unfortunately, the cards that I was using that were here, 10 seconds ago, those cards have been lost to a snowstorm temporarily, but they're way, way down the road with my vehicle that could not make it up the ridge where I live. All the way home. And I had planned to finish the reading, even though I was home. I was going to leave the setup in the van and just finish off the reading that I didn't get a chance to finish before the ferry boat came to take me away the other day. And then I had a weekend of commitments in the city and would have maybe finished it on the way back, but it was dark by then. And then the snowstorm came. And and so as one thing I love about where I live is just how subject to nature we are. I really love that nature can mess with us, with humans, in this place where I live in just delightful, unexpected ways. And so, for example, I've been through a 9-day power outage on one occasion, and the power controlled the water and the toilet. So it was outhouse living in a snowstorm for 9 days with no power. That was many years ago, and I think they've improved the power situation around here since then because of that incident. It was sort of following what I like to think of as a hurricane. I think it was actually winds that were fast enough to be classed as a hurricane, but because we live in such a small area, the weather pedagogues did not really pick up on that and classify it as that, but our roads were destroyed. They were impassable due to all the fallen trees. And I'm talking like big, big trees across the roads in every direction. Anyway, that one was not fun. But this particular snowstorm has led to school closures and a lot of beauty, and it's just absolutely gorgeous out there right now. But my vehicle is far away from me, and as a friend just happened along right at that moment and gave my children and I a ride up the ridge, which was very helpful because we otherwise would have been hiking a long, long way. And so I sort of scrambled to get all the tarot cards out of the vehicle very quickly. And the one deck that I did not grab was the ones that had the cards that your person's cards had not yet been revealed in the section that you just watched. However, I had already turned them all over and thought I was recording, and the phone was full by that point. So I did already turn over those cards, but do you think I can remember what they were? I cannot. And I take that as, a pretty clear message from Spirit that they were in need of a reshuffle anyway. I do recall slightly struggling to kind of put them together with this. Anyway, that whole deck is not available right now. Short version. And so we're going to do something a little bit different. So I've been pulling this deck, which it calls itself Clarifying Love Situations, and it's got this very heteronormative romantic white couple on the front. And but it's actually, I would say it's at least halfway a shadow deck. But it's got the handy feature of having two different sides, and which I am actually really enjoying. And you could kind of call them, they're not really polarities, they're sort of more like, what's the word? Like, I'm forgetting what the word is, but you know, when they're like nuances of the same thing. And so, oh, look at that, we've got one out already. So what I was going to say is that we're going to pull, I can't even remember how many cards I was doing, 2 or 3? Three cards. I'm just looking at the video of the last clip. So we'll pull 3 cards for your person and trust that this is, you know, Spirit's rewrite. And there's a whole other backstory that you're probably already rolling your eyes and bored and wanting me to get to the point. I mean, I'm sure you're more polite than that and perhaps more patient than I am. I'm feeling quite impatient to move along with this reading. Maybe that's part of your person's energies, I don't know. But so what I am recalling, and I just listened to the first bit of the reading, actually I'm kind of getting a call that I should pull the cards for you. These were supposed to be the advice cards at the end of the reading, but because the other deck isn't available, I'm pulling them as just a bit of additional oracle. They could have been oracle cards, but they ended up working out well as advice cards, and I will still pull them as advice cards at the end of your reading. So we'll do this, then we'll do tarot. I'm slightly picking up on the feeling of like, you know, that your person is getting some cards from this deck, but now you should get some cards from this deck too, as if there's like, I'm not to say that you're feeling jealousy, but I'm getting like a feeling of slightly like, oh, like, I want that too. So maybe somebody out there is feeling that as I pull them for your person. So anyway, I'll just go ahead and do that. But this is for your person, last one for your person. And so yeah, like for example, this card. Oh, and I was going to say the compensation for your reading getting slightly derailed is that you are the first pile of the first pile of the first reading ever to get to be recorded with my new microphone. And I was going to save that for the whole next reading. And I almost just recorded this one on my phone just to keep the sound even. But hell, it's here. I might as well use it. Anyway, so this has divine union on one side. And then on the other side, it's got empathic bridges. And so, you know, these are not polarities. They're not opposites. But they're like two... yeah, nuances. I feel like polarity is the word that I used to use when I was, when yoga was a huge part of my life. But I don't think I knew what the word polarity actually literally meant maybe at that time, or I hadn't thought that far. But like instead of being opposites, they're just sort of like picking out a different emphasis in the same thing. This one, for example, this one's got resilient roots on one side and prickly defenses on the other. It says barriers caused by past hurts block you, be patient. But on the other side, it says resilient roots endure the storms, protect your core, and grow stronger with each challenge. So we're going to take these ones for your person as the oracles for your person. So we've got unexpected joys, life surprises are gifts, opening doors to unforeseen adventures, resilient roots, endure the storms, protect your core, and grow stronger with each challenge, and empathic bridges, embrace healing by being kind, balancing life's contrasting forces. And again, just to recap, I know you just heard it, but you know, almost for my own sake, just to recap, the energies of the alchemy cards, which are so incredibly powerful. Like I can, if I just let myself even for half a second tune in to these cards, it's like I have chills on the back of my neck and sort of down into my spine. And it's like it just comes through like very, very powerfully. I've had that feeling with cards before, but not to this extent. And not like sometimes when I open a new deck, it's like you can tell when you open a new deck, or I can tell what the energies were of the person packing that deck, or the like what energies have been put into them by the person who has, meditated on them and then sent them out the door. Like you can tell if someone has meditated on them. Same as you can tell when you pick up a piece of clothing at a store. I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I pick up a piece of clothing at the store. There might be, 2 size L's, let's say, of the same shirt, or 2 size M's, and they're the same color, the same size, but what I touch one of them and it has a certain feeling to it, and I touch the other and it's got a completely different feeling to it. And it's like, that they were like somebody was putting completely different energies into those 2 items, and or they had different journeys to get to where they are. And one of them has, karma with it, and the other one has much nicer karma. And so, like although they're exactly the same from the perspective of, let's say 99.9% of the people who might be picking them up, I can feel it. And I believe that we can all feel the difference between those 2 things. And we have been taught not to heed our instincts about stuff like that. But, it's easy enough to just be like, yep, that is real. I can feel the difference, and I choose the one with the good energy to take home with me. Okay, so as I said, I'm like all riled up to finish this reading. So your person is in the energies of Venus, and as I was saying, it's a very sensual energy. We've got that looks like turquoise. Nowadays, huge pieces of turquoise no longer exist, and they're all always cut with other stuff. There was a time though that you could have a chunk of turquoise that big, and I almost want to go back in time to like the farmer's market where I live, back when I was a child, just to look at the beautiful turquoise jewelry. I'm sure you could go to, New Mexico and still see lovely turquoise, but up here in the Canadian northern reaches, it is not as widely available. It is my favorite stone. But yeah, it's hard to find pieces that feel quite as resonant these days. They're still out there, but they're few and far between. Anyway, Venus, sensuality, being in the body, pleasures of life, and just like experiencing like the Shakti, like the raw power, the like aliveness, just being in your body and feeling the aliveness of life. So that's the energies of your person. And then they have this darkening card, which suggests going down, 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 deep down, into what other people might consider the intensities of life, but which I would call the sort of like the grounding beneath the ground, if I could put it that way. And if that resonates for you, it will make sense. Anyway, this was meant to be your check-in to see if this pile is the right pile. So if you have a sense of absurdity, this might be your pile. If you find absurdity as amusing as I do, I quite love this. This is, now officially my favorite pile because it's got a narrative to it. Yeah, and I'll pull a couple cards for you as well. And as I said, we'll go back and I'll reshuffle and pull some of these cards as advice. We're still sort of doing check-in. And you get a little bonus check-in with some extra cards on your side, in addition to having a hopefully fantastic microphone experience. Hopefully it is actually recording the sound. I did double check. It seemed to be recording. I tested everything beforehand. And I'm very excited to be using the new mic. Hopefully it will correct the plosives and save speakers and ears everywhere. And then we've got welcoming dawns, be open and receptive, embracing new beginnings with an eager heart, playful innocence, embrace a childish spirit where baby steps lead to joy, not seriousness. We got some mirroring. Restraints test, trapped in instability, resist impulsive urges to find steadier ground. So, welcoming dawns, be open and receptive. So new beginnings, we were talking about how the winter energies in this deck are about dormant new beginnings that are about to emerge. And then summer is like being in the febrile height of fruition, like in the full Shakti energies of summer. This is almost, yeah, there you go. Speaking of mirroring, we've got winter and darkening, and then we've got summer and Venus. I didn't see that before. You perhaps did, as you will have been staring directly down at those cards. Okay, so yeah, so let's see, we've got playful innocence and unexpected joys. We have empathic bridges, resilient roots. Yeah, restraints, test, and resilient roots look like they go together here. So instability, resist impulsive urges to find steadier ground, and then endure the storms, protect your core, grow stronger with challenge. And then we've got be open and receptive, embracing new beginnings with an eager heart, and embrace healing by being kind, balancing life's contrasting forces. And we definitely have contrasting forces here, and even here, now that I'm seeing that parallel. So it might be that your person is, or that you both are, facing some challenges, but those challenges have to do with, I'd say, saying yes to life. So, like jumping in and saying yes to experience. And I'd say that's coming out in both sides here. I did not go back and listen to the full interpretation that I was giving these cards, but I do remember what it said in the book about them. And yeah, I'd say there's an energy here of like, I mean, you could paint this as, sort of holding back, jumping in, holding back, but I don't even think I feel like these two cards have very similar energies of the sort of Scorpio yes to life, whereas these would be more like, almost like the Gemini yes. Venus is Taurus energies, but Taurus could go with these cards as well, I would say. So just like the words are kind of failing me, like I'm trying to bring through. So it's like where this is life happening deeply. This is like the necessary primal, like so rich in experience, like underground of life. And this is like when that is brought to the surface, and you might not even remember this part. So this is like subconscious, unconscious, and this is like, when this work has been done, then there's like the sensual pleasures, the enjoyment, the like fun, lighthearted happiness. And it's sort of like you and your person are walking with both of those, carrying both of those awarenesses with you at the same time. And you may not consciously see this part. You might be, aware of this, especially maybe in your connection with each other. Maybe you're bringing this part out in each other, but you might also be bringing this out in each other. And I mean, you could call that shadow. I'm sort of bristling at that because I don't see this as negative. And I guess you don't have to see shadows as negative, but I think that term is often bandied about in terms of like, shadows that's not the fun part. But, winter's not that fun, and going down into the, deep intensities of, your core could be like if we're talking shadows, it could be core wounds, it could be core beliefs, it could be, your earliest patterning, like that sort of whatever. And then any work you do there is automatically going to bring this up to, more lightness, more fruition. That's kind of the sense I'm getting. So that's kind of your bonus reading. And I think there's a message in these cards too. Again, these are sort of more advice cards than oracle, which is why I decided to use them as such. These are all new decks, by the way, and that's the only reason that I have any tarot decks right now, because all previous decks have been confiscated by spirit for the next few months. I'll just say that. And which gave me a perfect excuse to invest in some new ones, which I'm not sad about at all. Although I do have this feeling of like, there's just one deck. I just want to find that Barbara Walker Tarot, which I believe is somewhere in a box in my home. But it's been in a box for so long, I don't know what box it's in. And I slightly am concerned that I might have gotten rid of it somewhere along the way, or packed it so far away that I will never find it again, but hopefully I will. Because it is quite meaningful. It was the deck that was gifted to me when I was 14 years old, and the deck that I learned, the initial learnings of tarot. I didn't learn It was not a traditional deck. If you're going to give somebody a deck, you probably should give them a Rider-Waite deck. It can be like, you know, variations on the Rider-Waite theme, but I actually think there's a lot of value in starting with just the classic Rider-Waite to learn the tarot, because those archetypes, every other tarot deck will make more sense if you learn those archetypes first. Not to say that you should stop with the Rider-Waite. I don't think you should, because I think there are very useful things in there that can be sort of modernized, pulled out in a modern context. But it's really helpful for understanding, like now I can go back to that Barbara Walker tarot and it makes a lot more sense now that I know the Rider-Waite deck that it was based upon, the traditional tarot, which it also could not be the Rider-Waite. There were other traditional decks like the Marseille tarot. Anyway, let's get some tarot. Speaking of tarot, so we'll put these cards away and we'll come back to them. So we've got the Tarot of Mystical Moments today. It's nice to have a proper surface to shuffle on. And, oh, this deck is starting to, it's been very new and stiff, but I'd say it's starting to be more pliable. It's a beautiful deck. And it's one that I've wanted since I began. It's probably one of the first tarot decks that I saw in a reading. Or maybe the first one that I was like, wow, that is a beautiful tarot deck. I did not know that such beauty existed in the world of tarot. And for some reason, it's taken me until now to actually acquire it, and it was in my local bookstore. So support local. I didn't even know they had a tarot section. But I went in there just, you know, sort of guided by my intuition, looking for some replacements for the decks that are in storage right now. And found this. So I hope the sound is better. Next on the list is a better camera. But I don't know, I'm making do with this one. I think it's okay for now. But it does sort of take my phone out of commission for the duration of tarot card readings, which is fine. That's probably a good thing. I don't know, I'm trying to think of a disadvantage. I mean, the picture will be clearer if I get a better camera, but that would also be the case if I got a better phone. I am very chatty. I don't know if I was this chatty before, but maybe it's the energy coming through here. Anyway, here we go. So how is pile three's person feeling about the connection at this time? You know what? I don't have enough room. I'm going to have to put these over. So I apologize. That kind of drives me batty when other people do it. But how is pile three's person feeling about the connection at this time, or feeling about pile three at this time? Spirit, please tune me into pile three. We've got the Fool. So we have 9 of Wands, the Fool. Oh, we've got a couple more here. We've got the Lovers in reverse and the King of Pentacles in reverse. And Spirit, please clarify the 9 of Wands. Just double checking that we're recording. It's important. I don't think I talked for too long in the reading that cut out, but because I had to go get the fairy anyway. We've got Ace of Swords clarifying the nine of Wands. That's a beautiful card. Clarifying the Fool. That one just flew out and it landed on its side. A little sigh. So that's strength. Oh, okay, I'm going to put those back because I haven't quite asked the question yet. And clarifying the Lovers in reverse, please, Spirit. Whoa, that came out quite quickly. 3 of Cups. Clarifying the King of Pentacles. One flipped out and went back in, and I did not see it. That is the sort of moment that if I was watching the reading, we've got 6 of Pentacles. I would go back and rewind myself to see if I could tell what that card had been. Okay, I slightly suspect that these are not all on the... Let me just have a little look. All right, we're close enough. So just to recap so that you know what we're dealing with, we've got 9 of Wands, the Fool, the Lovers, King of Pentacles in reverse. And then clarifying the 9 of Wands, we've got the Ace of Swords upright. Clarifying the Fool, we've got Strength on its side. Clarifying the Lovers, we've got 3 of Cups. Clarifying the King of Pentacles, we've got the 6 of Pentacles. Okay, pile 3. So I'm getting the energy of, and so I hear other tarot readers put this in these terms. If this is something that resonates with you, i.e. it's something that you already know about, then it's a message for you. But if you don't already know about it, then it's not your message. So don't let, a tarot card reading on the internet leave you feeling less than, essentially. But if this is something that you already know about, I feel like there might be the energy of another person in this connection or another group of people. So I'm getting this from the 3 of Cups here, but also from sort of the cards around. So you may have had a conflict with this person over, it could be an affair, or it could be something that's drawing either them or you out of the connection with each other. Like there's some kind of external interference. That could be a person, it could be even work, the person's work. I'm not seeing other indications, or your work of work per se, but it could be like a community, like a group of friends. Like sometimes people's friends are in their ear about things, or maybe your friends are. Anyway, I'm seeing some challenges, and so it looks as if I'm seeing that your person is viewing some challenges here. But also I think they have an intention of getting into balance with those challenges. And so with the 9 of Wands over here, the 9 of Wands is like can be a defensive energy, or a weary energy, sort of like you're almost there, a last push is required to come through with the connection or bring it to where you want it to be. Like things are blooming, but it's sort of like you're just kind of not sure. It's almost like a lot of the blooming, like obviously there's a thorn going right through the blooming rose, the only thing that is blooming in this picture. This person's shirt, I assume those are meant to look like, they look like stitches, but to me they almost look like insects crawling over her shirt. I think they're meant to be little something plant related, like little branches that maybe are not quite in bloom. But anyway, multiple meanings, I guess. This is one reason I love this deck. There's so much richness in the imagery. And then you can see that there's things starting to bloom on the trees in the background, but they're not in the foreground. They're not coming through, without thorns through them. It looks as if they're just right there, and, she just has to kind of turn around and see them and put her focus on them. But at this point, she's not even looking at this rose. She's sort of looking away. So she's perhaps weary, or, has been waiting a long time, and maybe I'm hearing self-limiting beliefs, maybe there's a feeling that this is not coming to be or not happening, or just that it's taking too much out of her. And that could be you, or it could be your person. But, since we're asking about how your person is feeling about the connection, they're feeling that someone in this connection has been through a lot. And realizing I could have just said that instead of thinking out loud, trying to piece it all together. This person is so super kick-ass, as is the card as a whole. They've got a keyhole in the middle of their giant conch shell, which it looks like it's like in a golden ratio formation here, and they're holding a key. That key's not going to fit in that hole, but I gather the imagery is meant to suggest that metaphorically it could. And they've got a galaxy in their shirt, and there's some snowy rocky mountains in the background. There's some water with an island with a tower on it. You may or may not be able to see that there's little houses down here. And so the Ace of Swords is about invention, ingenuity, communication, sudden inspiration. And so it looks as if this person is bringing something through from the other side that is in alignment. And so that is the clarifier for the Nine of Wands. And so it might be that there's a sudden strike of inspiration or a sudden revelation to do with this sort of maybe the almost stagnant energies coming through with this Nine of Wands. There might be some enthusiasm. Your person might be feeling some enthusiasm about walking that path. But this Fool card really does call attention to the potential danger. So, she's walking this garden path, but it turns out to be an alligator kind of hidden in the bushes. And so, the Fool is like taking that leap of faith and wanting to like start a new adventure. And I'm looking at this alligator. I'm being drawn to it a lot, and I think it's partly because the Strength card came out on its side. So Strength would be sort of like, if it came out positively, like upright, it would suggest that this person is feeling good about taking this leap of faith, whether a leap of faith towards you or, in their life in general, or, more into the connection. There's something that they're feeling called towards, but it's almost like they're not sure that they have the strength to do it because this isn't upright. It's also not upside down, so it's not fully the energies of not having the confidence to do it or not believing in it. It's sort of like they're undecided. The Lovers upside down can refer to kind of disharmony or a connection being challenging, having trust issues. And so because of that, and then with its clarifiers, the Three of Cups, and the Three of Cups can be, as I was saying, an affair, another lover. It's sort of like, and it's kind of a heteronormative interpretation because it's like there should only be two, and two is the good number. And then if there's three, that means that there's a problem. There's too many people in that connection. And so, but it's useful to have a card that can pull that energy through. And in combination with the Lovers reversed, I think it may be apt. But again, it's also a card of like groups and celebration and gatherings and community. And so that's why I'm sort of saying, it might be that there's something going on in your connection that is posing a challenge, and it could have to do with an actual connection with another person, but it could also have to do with maybe this person is very tied to a community, maybe you're both part of a community, and there's some kind of like interference with your connection with each other happening by way of this other influence, whatever that is, whether it's their work, whether it's a community, whether it's their friends, or your friend. It might be that they're feeling like there's some, like maybe there's even like a lack of trust between you at this point because of the presence of some other folks in either of your lives. And so, or some other influence, whether like if it is like a work thing or just something that's drawing. And it looks like it's, like a happy influence. Now I'm getting a very strong feeling of like, it's like there's a friendship quality happening here that is pulling one of you away from the connection, and in a way that is kind of disrupting the connection between the two of you. Of whatever variety. I think I've said enough. Okay, I think I'm repeating myself. King of Pentacles in reverse can be the energy of it's sort of like being disconnected from the energies of the Suit of Pentacles. And the Suit of Pentacles is about being grounded. It's like earthy energies. It's about material prosperity and wealth. It can be about just having a very solid grounding in the world, or solid base from which to, build as you go through the rest of your life. It can refer to financial, so reversed, it can refer to financial disruptions or insecurity. It can refer to insecurity in general. It can be not handling relationships in a mature way, not being available for putting things on a solid foundation. It can refer to like coercion or manipulation, or someone trying to sort of secure the best possible outcome for themselves without being attentive to what's going on around them or how that might be affecting other people. And so what I'm seeing here is that there's something that maybe has happened here, and how your person is feeling is that they want to set it right. So it might be that there was, a connection between you that was feeling like it was in a time of challenge, and then your person's had a realization, I think, and it might have to do with some of the other energies that I've just been talking about. So maybe they're driving you bonkers with being wishy-washy about whether they want to be more connected, or move to the next level of your connection. And so it does feel like there's like some kind of draw on their energy or your energy. I'm hearing their energy at this point. So maybe they've been drawn sort of outside of the connection by something else going on, and it's led to kind of an immature handling of the situation that I'm not seeing that they necessarily feel acutely bad about that, but I am saying that they are conscious that it needs to come back into balance and that they would like to do that. So I was using this deck. It's been so long since I recorded the other two piles that I can't even recall quite why I was using this other deck, except that I just wanted to have a second deck in order to give, basically my issue with using the same deck to clarify is that these cards are already on the table and they can't come out again. So for example, if you end up with the Lovers upright clarifying the Lovers reversed, that would mean something pretty significant. But you wouldn't have that opportunity if the Lovers is already out on the table. So I believe that was my logic. We're going to go with that. So let's, and maybe I should have already gotten some clarification right away, but I felt like I needed to spend a minute with the cards as they are. And so let's have a look at the, whoa. Okay, so clarifying the Nine of Wands, first of all, Spirit. Got a clarifier for the Nine of Wands. So we're using the Affirmators Tarot for this. Try and shuffle on camera. Because it's far more entertaining, isn't it? Especially when they just come shooting out like that. So we've got the Five of Swords. We get a clarifier for the Fool. I feel like there's a lot I want clarification on in here. Got Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Can we get a clarifier for the Lover reversed and this Three of Cups here, Spirit, please? A little bit more information about the Three of Cups and the Lovers reversed. So we had the Fool come out with, oh, there's too many cards here, with the King of Cups in reverse as well. And can we get some clarification about King of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles, please, Spirit? Clarification for the King of Pentacles in reverse and the Six of Pentacles. We've got the Queen of Swords. All right. So the Five of Swords is an energy of kind of an ego conflict. So it might be that with somebody feeling like they're wearied by the connection, maybe your person is feeling wearied by the connection. I was seeing them as perceiving you in that role, but it might be that they've realized even that they feel weary by the connection, and they might be feeling like there's a lot of sort of ego battling back and forth, like maybe there's been some conflict. Or they're maybe feeling internal conflict is another possibility there. And then with the Fool and Strength in reverse, or Strength sideways, we've got the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, and that suggests that they may have felt like the connection had somewhere to go to, but at this time it looks like they're feeling like that sort of legacy outcome is not available or less likely. And so they're having trouble sort of trusting in the connection. They're not sure about trusting in the connection because they're not sure if it's going to go somewhere long term. And then with the Lovers in reverse and the Three of Cups in reverse, the Three of Cups upright. So we've got the Fool in reverse, and that kind of suggests like a person being naive, or like maybe they're feeling like they were naive. King of Cups in reverse can suggest like an immaturity of emotion. King of Cups in reverse is blocked emotion. It's like a blocked heart chakra, being emotionally unavailable, being withdrawn, can also be manipulative. So, the reverse kings can often refer to kind of like the toxic side of masculinity, like a domineering energy, or an energy of manipulating to bring about an outcome that benefits oneself and not others. So it might be that this is between the three of these, this is looking like some misgivings or mistrust, and just kind of like feeling at this time like they don't want to that strength card would be more interpreted in the reverse at this point. Like they're not feeling confident about walking that path or sort of diving in, taking that leap of faith. But it looks like it has to do, and it might not have anything to do with your connection as well. It might be that they have like a past situation, if there hasn't been a conflict, if this is a newer situation, or someone that you're getting to know. It could be that they have had a past experience with, like maybe their last lover made a commitment to them and then violated that commitment. And I'm putting it in those terms to be poly-friendly here. Because, three people can be someone's dream come true in some circumstances. And, it doesn't, that's why I'm saying it's not necessarily, it feels a bit facile to me to say that a third person in a relationship is necessarily a bad thing, because, for some people that may be exactly what they want or what works for them. But in any event, it looks like there's been some kind of situation that has led this person to feel closed off. And so in terms of the sort of ungrounded energies of the King of Pentacles and wanting to set that right, we've got the Queen of Swords, and the Queen of Swords takes no prisoners. She is direct, clear, and cuts right through anything that does not serve and gets straight to the point. And she can be quite fierce. Usually she's depicted facing that way in the traditional Rider-Waite anyway. And but here she's facing us, which makes her look somehow a little, plus, she's like a cute little fox. She's looking a little less fierce, but she is wearing her power suit. And her pearls, it looks like her jade pearls maybe. And she almost looks like she's waving, like, hey guys, let's get to it. So the Queen of Swords can be communication as well. All of the swords can be communication. And so in this case, it might be that your person wants to get straight to the point and have a conversation about setting things right, or about what is out of balance and how this could come back into balance. So I do see, I'm not seeing a deep emotional investment necessarily, but I am seeing almost like a moral investment, like a moral imperative that this person is feeling to have a conversation. It could be closure if you're at that stage of a relationship. It could be, like maybe you've gotten yourselves into a situationship, and that's not kind of feeling good on either side, and they want to set it right and just, clear the air almost. Or it could be that they, are aware that this could be a very nebulous energy of miscommunication or just failing to understand each other, and that they want to get to the truth and figure out exactly what might be going on, and let you know on their side what's going on, and have the potentially hard conversation around that. And so I did promise some advice, so I'll just give these a shuffle. Let's pretend this is a deck you haven't seen before. Oh, I'm curious how the shuffling will come through, because the shuffling was kind of brutal with my last built-in microphone to my cell phone. I was worried about ears and speakers, so hopefully that's something that I can either adjust in settings, or that's already maybe naturally better. Okay, so let's get some advice. This is advice for you in this connection. We have deeper waters. Let's get a mess of them. Achievable insight. Hidden thorns. Spirit, what is the advice for pile 3? What advice do we have for pile 3? We've got liberated destiny. Masked realities. That one flipped out and came back in. Hanging on. Awakening jolt. And then a whole bunch more came out, but we'll just take the top one. Open hearts. Okay. Deeper waters, step out of your comfort zone, explore new depths. Achievable insight, embrace practical steps towards clarity, bringing your goals within reach. Hidden thorns, look beyond the romance to discern true intentions. Liberated destiny, with release comes freedom, steering faith towards an unwritten future. Masked realities, beyond posing facades and cover-ups, dare to unveil the truth hidden beneath. Hanging on, release the past and let yourself love again. Awakening jolt, from shock to epiphany, embrace the upheaval as a catalyst for renewal. And open hearts, in vulnerability, we talk and reveal, forging deeper connections through honesty. So I'm seeing it's almost like there's a call to go from the summer energies, or the, energies of pleasure, into the depths, is what I'm seeing out of these cards. And that might be on your person's side and your side. It looks to me, mirroring is the energy of twin flames and or soulmates, divine counterparts, which is, can be a amazing, highly gratifying journey, but it can also be kind of hellish. But that is sort of where we see mirroring come up a lot. And so there's a call to step out of the comfort zone. That's sort of the Fool energies that we were seeing before, but also to be discerning and, to not look beyond the romance to discern true intentions. So not to hidden thorns. And we have thorns coming through that blossoming rose there. So if your person was the one with other energies coming through for them, then maybe you're being called to look beyond, look at their actions rather than what they're saying in the situation, except that it does look like they want to have, a good conversation here. Can you see these cards? Of course, I need to make sure they're in the... Here, we can even do this, because we're not looking at the other side of them. And then, there's the energies of epiphany. That would be the Ace of Swords energies. But also a call to, let go of the past and sort of come into the present. Maybe you need to let go of some kind of past connection for yourself and come into the present with this person. But in any case, it looks as if there's a call to just be real, and not to just be sort of living with kind of, in the pleasure side of things with masks up, and instead to get into your vulnerability, to have some real, honest, possibly hard conversations, and some release that needs to happen. And so whether that's releasing this person or releasing something from the past in order to be present with this person, only you will know. But in any event, there is a call to embrace upheaval, look for a catalyst for renewal here. Step out of your comfort zone and explore new depths, and, be vulnerable and, sort of do the hard work. Like if you want a deeper connection with this person, then deeper connections are the ones that are created through doing the hard work. Like if you sort of skate along at a surface level, you might have a connection that, can endure at a surface level, but that connection will never be like that real satisfying deep connection where you feel known by another person and you know them intimately, and where trust has a chance to really bloom. You can have a surface level connection for somebody that goes on for a while, but that's not the same thing as having a deeper connection with another person. And you'll have to decide for yourself whether you want something more from this person and whether it's worth it. And it almost looks like your person's having that same sort of assessment themselves, but I think their answer is that they are feeling like they want to at least have a conversation to set things right. And then what you do with that is up to you, of course. But I do see a call to embrace vulnerability and depth. So pile 3, that was an interesting reading, and so apologies again about the missing cards. That deck is, it's a little bit surface, so maybe that was part of the, it's like Spirit reshuffled your reading and suggested that we go a little deeper, and I think we got there. And that feels fitting for the messages that were coming through. So I hope that helped, and I hope the microphone is working for us all, and that eardrums everywhere are spared. And so I'm looking forward to getting back into readings. I'd say that in every reading. I'm trying not to say words that will compromise YouTube algorithms, because I would really like to grow this channel by April 2025. That is my goal. And I've had a few suggestions recently about kind of how to do that. But anyway, in any event, if this has been entertaining for you, amusing, helpful, insightful, or just, a way to pass the time that you appreciate, then please do like and subscribe. Help me get to those 1,000 subscribers by April 2025. I've got to, let's see, that would be like, I was listening to a reader the other day who was talking about, like, I was feeling bad about my tarot channel because, I only had, it was like 25,000 subscribers or something by 6 months. And I see other readers with like 1 million subscribers by 6 months. It was like, I've got 48. And, but I also swear like a trucker sometimes, and have not been consistent whatsoever, and continue to have the aspiration to be consistent, but sometimes, life is lifey and takes precedence. And it literally took Spirit confiscating my computer for a few hours for me to say, oh, I could actually sit down and do a tarot reading, because there's nothing else that I'm able to do in this moment. Out of all the things that I feel like I need to give attention to, the only available thing is tarot. And I just happen to have the right tools for it in that moment. So there for the traveling van tarot reading. Okay, be well. See you in the next one. Bye.